next session on leveraging technology for pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance is defined as the science and activities relating to the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of drug-related adverse effects. Pharmacovigilance process often draws company to select associated safety systems based on their ability to organize data and optimize efficiency, typically leaving limited system options. Today's pharmacovigilance function is being reshaped by artificial intelligence to gain process efficiencies and to perform value-added tasks, such as improving quality assurance, consistency, accuracy, reliability, and reducing cost burden. In this context, it is important to understand the role of technology in the management of pharmacovigilance. We have Mr. Moin, Lead South Asia Chapter, International Society of Pharmacovigilance, CEO and founder, PVCon Consulting Private Limited, with us today to share his valuable insights on this topic. Sir worked as an Associate Director at Johnson & Johnson. He was the head of pharmacovigilance at Reliance Clinical Research Service and Dr. Reddy's Laboratory, head of pharmacovigilance at Sanofi Aventis, and head of production at Hoist Pharma. Sir has undergone extensive training in US, Germany, France, and Singapore to master pharmacovigilance. He is certified as lead auditor and is closely associated with the Government of India's National Pharmacovigilance Program as an advisor. Sir completed his B.Pharm from K.M. Kunnani College of Pharmacy, Mumbai. Sir has been awarded with Pharma Ratna 2016 Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution in pharmacovigilance and drug safety at the hands of Drug Controller General. I invite Sir onto the stage to elaborate more on the topic leveraging technology for pharmacovigilance. Over to you, Sir.
Thank you so much. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. The gentleman has taken away 15 minutes of mine. So I hope you are ready to give 15 more minutes, and probably you said you are very happy right now, right? And you are very positive and also energized. So I personally thank the gentleman who broke you, who woke you from your slumber, and you are fully energized now. Because I know as your sugar levels are going down, I think you are looking forward to your lunch, which is awaiting for you. But then I'm sure that I will keep you awake. And my problem right now is I'm going to talk to you about, he was talking to you about being positive, but I'm going to talk about the most negative aspects of pharmaceuticals and drug safety for a positive reason, that how can we save ourselves and our fellow human beings from the problems of drugs which are caused, which we normally call as side effects and drug ADRs and things like that. My problem with this topic which has been given to me today is that, when I'm talking about technology which comes to help to pharmacovigilance activities, so there are a lot of things, a lot of technology which is artificial intelligence aided or machine learning. So there are various aspects of pharmacovigilance. So until and unless you at least have some elementary idea about the various baskets or various segments of pharmacovigilance, it will be very difficult for me to explain to you how exactly technology comes over there and how it is being leveraged. So I am assuming or pre-assuming that all the people who are sitting in this auditorium, they at least know something about the pharmacovigilance. Right? Now, Now, this is not the typical definition as given by ICH. This is my vision of pharmacovigilance. Please don't write this as an answer in case if you get a question, what is pharmacovigilance? Okay, your examiner will give you 0 mark, all right? What I'm trying to explain to this entire people who are sitting here, and I hope you will forgive me because I'm a very passionate teacher. So I take a lot of time to explain my slides. I just don't go over from one slide into another slide. Doesn't matter if I don't cover all the slides, but whatever slides I'm going to cover, we will see to it that you people understand what I'm trying to say. And what is there here, rather than it is there on my slide deck, this slide deck will be made available to you. So when you talk of pharmacovigilance, what pharmacovigilance is all about? We know that pharmacovigilance is a technical term used for drug safety. So when any company who wants to come up with a new chemical entity, so right from the time when the company decides to come up with an NCE, they have to take care of one particular fact that the new chemical entity which he brings out into the market, this new chemical entity should be safe for the human consumption, and at the same time it should be efficacious. And that's why he has to do the safety surveillance throughout the development phase, that is up to phase 3, which is known as a regulatory phase. So once you submit your data for your new drug application, which has all the efficacy parameters or data, or all the data which actually talks about or ensures the regulator that this drug is safe in human being, because we have tried in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, you get a marketing authorization, right? But your pharmacovigilance obligations or your safety surveillance obligation does not stop over there. Till such time that your drug, your molecule is there in the market, you are obliged to do safety surveillance of this particular drug, even if the drug is 100 years old. You cannot say that now my drug is very well tried, it is safe, very well documented, I am not going to do the safety surveillance. A very simple example that very recently we came across about Steven-Johnson syndrome for a very safe drug called paracetamol, right? Nobody heard about paracetamol causing SJS. This is a very recent phenomena. US FDA came out with the alert that you have to include now SJS in your label of paracetamol, right? So this is simple paragraph what I have given you. It actually defines what pharmacovigilance is all about. So right from the development stage till such stage that your drug is in the market, as a marketing authorization holder, you are responsible or you are obliged to monitor its safety of all the molecules that you have in the market. Now, if you say, this is a slide which augurs very well for all the people who are sitting over here and who want to make a career in pharmacovigilance, right? This is the latest figures which I have got, and it says that today, worldwide, it is the pharmacovigilance market is 8.7 billion, and it is continuously rising and at the rate of 15%, and we are expecting that it would be reaching somewhere $24.026 billion by 2030. What does it mean? It means that more and more money will be poured into pharmacovigilance domain, and naturally they would be looking for more pharmacovigilance experts, more hands who would be required to do drug safety surveillance. And some of you who would be taking pharmacovigilance as a specialty subject or elective subject, your future is safe. So this slide is actually a glad tidings for all the people who are sitting here and who would like to take pharmacovigilance like me. I mean, I have been very passionate about pharmacovigilance, and I can tell you that there are lots of opening and future in pharmacovigilance. I will give you one story at the end in case if I get the time. So now next slide, when we talk about pharmacovigilance, so pharmacovigilance is one, we write PV, but there are so many other functions, and all the functions make a juggernaut of pharmacovigilance. So right from, when you start case processing, then after case processing, you also need to do literature search, then you also need to have aggregate report. So these are the, timely report. It could be a 6-monthly report, it could be an annual. It gives the entire safety profile of the drug, of worldwide data what you have accumulated for this particular molecule, which is required to be submitted to all the regulators of the world. Then you have signal management, then you have risk management, then you have legal agreement and SDEs with your various partners. Then of course one thing very important is training and development. And what I have depicted this Q, so this quality is the umbrella. It has to oversee each and every function which is about pharmacovigilance in any big organization, right? And then besides this, then you will have your own SOPs, you will have templates, forms, and then you will have agreements, you will have safety database, you have call centers, you will have service providers. So there are so many things which will form or which will be part of this juggernaut. Why? Now coming to the main topic, why do you need technology to support you? This is the main question, and this is the main theme of my topic today. You just see the first, this thing on my right hand side there, SOPs. So, other companies or some of the people see that, okay, we have 2 SOPs, we have 3 SOPs, or we have 4 SOPs. But when you go to bigger organizations, like when I was the regional director for Johnson & Johnson, for pharmacovigilance, we had more than 100 SOPs from each and every aspect of pharmacovigilance. So now when it comes to 100 SOPs to be handled, to be reviewed, to be trained, to come up with the new SOPs, how you would be doing training, and whether now Johnson & Johnson was operating in 120 countries. So today, when I come to the training aspect at the last slide, but I'm right now talking about you, that the European regulations need, ever since 2012, when the good pharmacovigilance practices modules came, you see the module 1 and module 6, it requires that even all non-PV employees of the company are to be trained every year on pharmacovigilance obligation. So you just see that if you are present in 120 countries, and even if you take just India, where the medical reps are in 1,000, how do you train these people on pharmacovigilance obligation year after year, and document is to prove to auditors like me that yes, we are complying with this particular requirement which is there in the according to European pharmacovigilance guidelines. So here are the areas where the technology comes to our help. Now I'm going to share a slide which is mind-boggling. I mean, just see the figures. Just see the figures, what we are talking about when we are talking about pharmacovigilance. Okay? I think what, can you please put off this? Yeah, this slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So there are 15,000 molecules in the market, 6,000 molecules are under process. US FDA has got 2 million ICSR, our case reports. But just see, there are 30 million report in VGBase alone. That is the WHO database. Then Udra Vigilance has got almost 25.3. When I summed up all this, this is more than 100 million ICSRs or case reports. And when we talk about one case report may have n number of data fields and information. So how a human being can really take care of all the data which is there sitting in or which is pouring in to a marketing authorization holder's pharmacovigilance department, how he is supposed to compile it, how he is supposed to analyze it, how he has to draw conclusions from this, and what would happen, what decision which has been taken after the conclusion and inferences, how this will be implemented. So humanly, if you think that Excel sheet, can you do it using an Excel sheet? The answer is definitely no. You cannot use an Excel sheet, which is a non-validated document, and it does not have all the provisions and features what a safety database like Argus or ARIS-G has, which I'm going to show you within short period of time. Now, besides this, I talked to you about literature search, right? So what do you mean by literature search? You understand probably vaguely that what literature search is all about. So as a marketing authorization holder, I am mandated to do worldwide literature search once in a week for all my molecules. And it is a tremendous job. You can imagine Johnson & Johnson had more than 80 molecules, active molecules, and there are databases like Embase or Medline. I have just calculated, or I have got these figures. If you club 35 million plus 29 million plus 40 million, this is almost 100 million citation, abstracts and references in this only three databases. And if I'm supposed to do search for my molecule every week, and if I have 50 molecules, how I'm going to do it? Before coming here, I just put a paracetamol in Medline, and I received more than 30,000 hits for paracetamol. And if you ask me that if I had to sit down and see which are the relevant hits, which are the irrelevant hits, naturally, humanly, this is not possible. So you need to have an artificial intelligence run algorithm which can fetch you only those relevant hits which are relevant to your molecules, right? Besides this, there are so many other things which are appearing in front of your eyes. You have call centers, you have audits, you have inspections, and in call centers you are receiving calls, and you have to document those calls, then you have to transfer those calls. When you have internal audits, when you have inspections, you have a lot of audit findings, inspection findings, for which you have to have corrective and preventive action. So it goes and goes and goes on, and just see this particular data. I have just clubbed this data. What are the molecules in market, molecules development, and this thing. So it is almost 200 million is known. And there is an unknown figure over here. When you club this and this, that clearly shows you that humanly this data, what data you have is not humanly manageable, because it involves receiving of data, it involves recording of the data, it involves documentation of data, it involves processing of data, then it involves analyzing of this data, then exchange of data with your business partner, with the regulators, and of course it has to be very, very accurate, and you have to be compliant. So when you have a scenario like this, there is no other way but you go to the technology, you go to the IT technology, you go to the artificial intelligence and how this can help you. So in very short, I think I will go ahead and I will show you that how artificial intelligence and how technology really help us. I'm sure that some of it will definitely, we will be able to cover some of the slides. So see, when you use technology, naturally the manual process is converted into an automatic process. Just you remember. And that itself saves almost a lot of manual cost because it becomes very, and secondly, it also becomes very, very accurate and fast. So now people who were manually doing literature search, when they change over to automatic literature search using AI algorithm, the FTE requirement comes down by half. So if you used to use 50% in your literature search team, now you need only 25 people. And now further some more artificial intelligence are coming to fore where you will be able to still save manpower on that. So you have automation which reduces your manpower. It does at much faster speed. It is accurate. You can just see, you just imagine that if you are getting a ICSR form, an ADR form, and a person is manually putting all the data from the ADR form into your safety database, it is always likely that depending on the mood of the person or how good or bad mood he or she is, she can always make 17 as 71 and she can convert a male into a female. But when it comes to artificial intelligence and automation, these type of errors are automatically eliminated. Then all the data is available in the real time period, so it is in real time reporting. Then the task beyond human management, that's what I've said. And of course, now, a lot of compliance is required. So you have to continuously track your compliance. Whether are you reporting your ICSR, which have to be reported in an expedited manner to US FDA or EMA or to Japanese regulatory, are you doing it in a real time period which is compliant? I will give you a simple example that if you are doing a clinical trial and if you have a life-threatening or lethal case or a fatal case, so the day and the time when you come to know about this, your regulatory clock starts from there. Irrespective of the fact whether this particular patient was being treated in Shanicharwada, what do you say? Shaniwarpet or anywhere. This report, I'm giving this example because my friend is from that particular area. So, from Pune's Shaniwarpet, within 7 days, this report has to go to US FDA and it has to go to EMA and it has to go to all the regulators of the countries where this clinical trial is being carried out. Okay, this is the requirement. And if you don't do it, you are at a default and you are likely to get a warning letter from one of this because they continuously keep monitoring. So that's how compliance tracking is possible only because of the technology what we are going to do it. Okay, so what type of technologies which we are using in pharmacovigilance? We are using softwares like ADR reporting from devices, databases like Argus and ARIS-G, learning management system, document management system, deployment of artificial intelligence and ML, which is part of these databases and learning management. Then of course we are using cloud-based software as a service and e-data enabled tools like nowadays. I don't know how many of you know that there are a lot of regulators who do not want paper submissions. No ICSRs will be submitted in form of paper, including EU, including US FDA, and including a country like Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia FDA says that you have to send all your data which needs to be reported to us in an XML file, and to convert this XML file you need to have a safety database like Argus and ARIS-G. I'm not going to the first part, just think of a database which is Argus or ARIS-G. Now you can imagine that I have a partner company who is sending their, so we have a safety data exchange agreement between the two companies. So we are getting thousands of cases from, say, Johnson & Johnson to AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca is sending thousands of cases from them worldwide to the Pharmacovigilance department of Johnson & Johnson. What would have been happened, or what would have been the labor required in case if all these cases were sent to each other in paper form? The entire data had to be re-entered manually, right? The same thing happens now with US FDA and EMA and Vigibase. Now naturally they said that we don't want all this clutter of paper. So if you want to send us your data, this data has to come from your database. There is a bridge which actually converts this XML file and transports it across to the safety database of US FDA or EMA, IFDAS or Vigibase. So it is totally paper-free electronically, and it is just done in the time frame of seconds, right? Then another important thing about the safety database is that you cannot process a ICSR until and unless you have certain dictionaries which are attached to all this safety database. So you need Metra dictionary for coding of all the medical terminologies. How would you do it until unless your safety database is actually structured or made to make use of Metra dictionary or CPD, company product dictionary? So the minute you take paracetamol or you take any big name, so once you put the paracetamol, your safety database automatically takes each and every information about your paracetamol into that ICSR. So what is its license number, what is its strength, what is the formulation, which all countries it is marketed, in which all countries, what is the timeline for reporting of this particular case, whether it is a non-serious case, whether it is a serious case. You have already built in all the algorithm within the safety database. And once you just put in all this information, automatically in the time frame what you have given to the algorithm, it gets transmitted and submitted to all the regulators of the world and all your business partners without any default. So these are some of the features which probably can explain that how technology comes to the help of the pharmacovigilance expert. Another example I can just give you, which is I hope you have heard something called narrative writing. So for all serious cases and all clinical trial cases, there is a requirement that you write a narrative for that particular case using all the key elements of that particular case. Now, if you do it humanly, it becomes very, very difficult that you pick up all the data elements which are scattered all over the form. And for your kind information, E2BR3 has got 250 data fields. So your data field can be, your data can be anywhere within this E2BR3 data fields. So you have to pick up that and you have to write a medical story which makes sense logic-wise and presentation-wise. So now what the safety database is doing, that they have inbuilt auto narrative. So once all these data fields are filled, you go and ask the auto narrative to work out or write an auto narrative. Within a jiffy, within few seconds, the auto narrative is populated. The only thing probably which you need to do is just check the grammar and English in case if there are some problem. So that is the drug safety database, and without a drug safety database today, no big pharma company can really operate. Now, if I have to explain or if I have to demonstrate drug safety database to you, probably it will take me 2 to 3 days full time, maybe 6-hour session to show you how a safety database work, what are the various features, and how this, from what is the workflow, how from the receive to the submission to the partner or regulators, how it works. So it's entirely a very big topic in itself. Only one more thing which about the safety database I would like to add here. Now, that is, see, there are a lot of regulators who want the safety report to be reported in a particular format. Now you imagine if they are not accepting, like US FDA want in MedWatch 3500, okay? The European authorities want in SYMPOSIUM form. The MHRA wants it in yellow form. Germans want this in B form. Now, can you imagine in case if you have to submit these forms in these particular formats? So, one case which needs to be submitted to European authority, to US, to Japan, to Russia, to BfArM, German, how much time will be required to convert or to transform this data into these different type of forms? Now, this particular safety database has got a provision. You ask him to create a form in SYMPOSIUM or MedWatch 350. Okay, so 5 minutes. So let me take to something. Now this is very important because again now more and more people are struggling with this. So let's understand that where else technology can be made use of. Now you must be very familiar, like Sanish was talking about the patient support program, where we are using different and difficult medical devices, and then patients get back to the call center. So you get so many calls. I mean, you can imagine worldwide how many calls must be coming. So then what manual method which was previously used, there are call attendant, they actually hear the call, they document the call, what is known as call log, and then depending on the call log, they convert this into an ADR form, and this ADR form goes to the pharmacovigilance department, and then they do the data entry, right? Now this is all gone. So now we have automated call center. They receive the voice message, and this voice message is transmitted, or it is actually translated into a word format, and this word format is automatically going to the pharmacovigilance department. You don't need a human intervention. Similarly, all the documents which used to come through fax, now using this OCR technology, it automatically detects these optical characters, and this convert the text into the data field, and it directly goes and feeds into the safety database, which otherwise was required to be done manually. So these are the various examples, and I have lots of other things. Now I have got some features which actually distinguishes that why you cannot use an Excel based data sheet or MS Excel sheet vis-a-vis the safety database, because you see this is the safety database is a validated safety database. So anybody who is working on this there will be an audit trail that Mr. Moin at this particular time he opened up this case and he made this change. So until unless there is an audit trail and it is E2B compliant 11, then it is not accepted by any regulator. So this is all validated safety database. Then it is multi-use. So I'm having a database and simultaneously hundreds of people are working on this database. Some people are sitting in US, some people are sitting in Europe, some people are sitting in India, and they are working on the same database because you have licenses to use. So many user logins and IDs are being given to you. So this is not possible when you use any other form of database, right? Then there are requirement to do duplicate checks. In other form of documentation, duplicate checks cannot be performed. So duplicate check is one of the very important feature of case processing, that I have to check whether this particular case has been already reported to me by through some channel. So it can always happen that the paracetamol which cost a patient SJS, the patient has reported, the patient's doctor has reported, and the same case was reported in a journal. So we are getting the same case from 3 various sources, though there was only one incident of paracetamol causing SJS. So you need to search your database whether are we talking about the same data and the same case, or we are talking about the 3 different cases. So I have not even completed about case processing, right? So beyond case processing, we have literature search, then we have got aggregate reporting, then we have got signal management, then we have got risk management, then we have got documentation management, then we have training management, and then we have quality management, which involves audits, inspections, CAPAs and CAPAs management. And in all this, each and every basket, each and every function within pharmacovigilance, you need technology. And that technology is today available, and it has made life very, very easy for the big pharmaceutical companies like Johnson & Johnson, Abbott, Aventis, and so on and so forth. So I will stop here because it is almost my time is up. If you have any question, please feel free to come and talk to me during the lunch break. I'm there, but right now I can take 1 or 2 questions, and I'm not very far off. I have already promised Dr. Prerna that whenever I will be in Pune, I will be taking more lectures on pharmacovigilance. My dear friend also has can I promise on your behalf? Yes. She said that she will also come. We will come and take some more lectures in more detail. You can imagine that I have not even touched the tip of the iceberg, not even tip of the iceberg. So the whole 9/10 of the iceberg of PV is still under the surface. Okay, so it's a big field, big domain, and very important domain. So I can take few questions right now, and then when we are having lunch, you can come and meet me. I'm also there on LinkedIn. You can always connect me with LinkedIn and can ask your question through LinkedIn as well. I will be very happy. I'm always there for my young friends because that rubs in that positive energy, having youngsters as your contacts. So even if I'm very busy, I do a lot of traveling. So, but even if I'm very busy, I do make it a point to respond to people who come back to me with any sort of queries. Okay, thank you so much for your patience listening. Thank you. Any question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I will not take much time. Everybody is hungry. So I have one basic question as far as this pharmacovigilance is concerned. I would like to quote one example, 2018, when there was mass immunization conducted by Government of India for measles and rubella vaccine
Yeah.
for the age group 15 and below across the India. So, as it was mass immunization, so number of market complaints were more compared to the average complaints which we received per year.
So you have to differentiate. You are talking about market complaint or you are talking about AEFI?
I'm talking about adverse effects.
Yes,
due to-
AEFI.
Yeah, due to vaccination.
Because see, let these people know, market complaint is something which is related to the quality of the product,
Yeah.
and these are not ADR. There can be ADR along with
Yeah.
in combination of market complaints.
Yes. So there were few cases of mortality and morbidity post-immunization of MR vaccine, and there was a lot of nuisance spread by our great media as well as encyclopedia of 21st century, which is WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Yeah. So let's say if one batch comprises 9 lakh doses, and if we have received 5 to 10 complaint when the immunization was performed with respect to that particular batch. So in such a scenario, if there was a problem with respect to that particular batch, all the 9 lakh recipients would have undergone that morbidity or mortality. If that is not the case, in that scenario, how the regulators investigate and assess such adverse effects and the complaints or issues, whatever you call, and is there any difference with respect to Indian regulators and the Western regulators for assessment of such complaints? Thank you.
Vaccine is entirely a different area, because once the dose has been given, you cannot recall that particular batch because that batch has been already consumed, right? Our problem in India, and not only in India, even in the most developed country, the reporting rate is extremely low, very, very low. So if 5 cases of morbidity were actually reported, you do not know how many cases were actually happened or occurred and they went unreported. So naturally, if you do not have this data, you cannot have any conclusion proof. So what we do, what is the signal, what I was talking to you about, we talk about the proportional reporting ratio. So we go as per the proportional reporting ratio, that for this type of ADR, how many cases have been reported and how many patients have been exposed to this, and whether there is any disproportionality. And based on this disproportionality, so this is a quantitative signal management test, and there is a qualitative signal management test. So you have to do, and plus of course you have to do a lot of literature search. You have to gather data from other countries whether such cases were reported for this MMR vaccine when this immunization program was given over there, and you collect all this data and then you analyze this, and you have to take a decision whether these were not really because see, there are a lot of other medical circumstances when a dose or a vaccine is given. So that medical condition is also very, very important when a vaccination or when for that example any other drug is being given. So when in case of India, this additional information is not available readily to understand that is there any alternative explanation available for this type of ADR which has been reported, and then only you can come to some conclusion. And once you come to that conclusion, then you have to take a decision that yes, something like this has happened, and then you have to you have to come into my last wagon, which was risk minimization plan. So then you have to have a risk minimization plan in case if you have already concluded that yes, this particular ADR was because of a molecule XYZR for the vaccine. Okay? And this is a uniform and this is a universal procedure of signal management and risk management plan which is being operational throughout the world and in all the developed countries. Any other question? No? Yes.
Hello, hi sir, I have one question. So is Health Authority trying to make ADR reporting mandatory by the healthcare professionals?
What is that?
Like many healthcare professionals, even they do encounter ADRs, they are not reporting and they are going unnoticed. Many nurses or pharmacists who are more in touch with the patients, they encounter ADRs. So how this reporting rate can be improved from the healthcare
Yeah,
professionals?
see, this is called underreporting, and the underreporting is not only problem with in India. I have just sit down. I have come across a lot of articles which say that in one of the few most advanced countries also the reporting rate is as low as between 5 to 10% of the actual ADR happening. So with Indians' complexity, the people, the population, their awareness about pharmacovigilance and drug safety reporting, I mean, it is very, very difficult, and all of us, we are responsible to create this particular awareness. Okay, this awareness creation is very important. I'm happy that ever since PVPI has become active since 2010 and 2011, now quite a lot of we have got more than 600 peripheral centers of PVPI in India, and they have collected close to 1 lakh ADR during this time. So that is quite a good number of ADR which they have collected. Otherwise, initially nobody used to report it to CDSU. Only one important thing which we need to know, and we need to also make aware of our healthcare professionals, our patients, nurses, that it can be anybody. Today it is somebody else who has suffered. Tomorrow it can be your family member who would suffer an SJS or an anaphylactic shock. So, I mean, there are some mind-boggling figures. If I have not put that because this was a different topic itself, there are 1 lakh deaths reported every year because of drug toxicity or ADR. 1 lakh deaths every year. And there are 350,000 hospitalization every year because of ADR. Okay, so if you create this sort of awareness and people start reporting and people start acting proactively, then some of the deaths can be reduced, some of the hospitalization can be reduced, and this will be a big service to our own human society. And if you go with this particular emotion, I am sure that you will be a very good healthcare professional and you will create the awareness, the type of awareness which we need in a country like ours. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Last question?
DCGI has created a portal
Yes.
for ADR.
Yes.
So, and in that, if any SAE occurs,
Yes.
we have to report within 24 hours.
That's right.
And analysis report within 14 days.
Yes.
So, probably this is the reason that non-reporting, because within 14 days the analysis is very difficult. So, this is our ethics committee experience. So, is there any possibility of extending these dates or extending this period?
See, the basic idea is that the detailed discussion on the case and the causality assessment and expected and all that, because these are all now terminologies which need a lot of explanation, okay? And these 14 days are being given to actually analyze the causality and expectedness. And for that time is required. But the basic requirement is that once you have the 4 valid criteria or parameters for an ADR which has been reported, that you have an identifiable patient, you have an identifiable drug, you have an ADR, and you have an identifiable reporter, this needs to be reported to any regulators, not only in India, anywhere else. Right? So this is basically to give them this report so that they understand that this report has come from somewhere. So you can just imagine this need not be one report. There will be such 100 reports coming to a big database like European country, you imagine how many companies must be selling and marketing paracetamol in entire Europe, the brands as well as generic, and how many paracetamol cases must be coming to them. So you might be thinking that this is only one case, but in reality there might be hundred of such cases which are coming to the European regulators. So they, when they use such technique, they can immediately find that the PRR is different for this particular paracetamol with this designated medical event, and they would say that this is a new safety concern is being emerging for paracetamol, so that they would put alert. If you go to MedWatch page, you will find that every day there are alerts coming on the MedWatch form, and these alerts are for all healthcare professionals, because from their database FAIRS they find out what are the new emerging safety issues for all the drugs which are in the market. It is for you and for me to understand that this drug can cause this, and we take necessary steps. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In case if you have any question, I am available during lunchtime. We can talk there. Yeah? Thank you so much.